So who are we really? I mean, is it just about our passport, our language, the food we love? Well, today we're going to get into the really powerful stuff that makes us who we are. These three interconnected forces of culture, memory, and identity. Let's get into it.
Take a look at this guy. This is Jeca Tatu, and for a very long time, he was basically the poster child for laziness in Brazil. He was this national caricature of the rural person who just didn't want to do anything. But look closer at that ad. It's asking a pretty bold question. Laziness? No. And that makes you think, right? What if that whole label was never the real story? What if the story everybody believed was just completely wrong?
And that question, well, it brings us right to the two faces of Jeca. We're about to unpack how this infamous stereotype got totally flipped on its head and ended up becoming this powerful symbol for the entire nation.
Okay, so this all kicked off back in 1918. A writer named Monteiro Lobato creates this character, Jeca Tatu, in his book Urupês. And Jeca is portrayed as this lazy, slow-witted guy from the Brazilian countryside. You know, the image was so strong, so sticky, that he became a national shorthand, a really negative stereotype for the entire rural population.
But here's where the story takes an incredible turn. The author, Lobato himself, started to see things in a new light. He realized that Jeca's condition wasn't some kind of character flaw. It was a real, widespread parasitic disease called Amarellão, or hookworm, which was literally draining the life and energy out of millions of people. And in this ad right here, you can see Lobato basically asking his own creation, Jeca, why don't you work? The answer changes everything. It's not laziness, it's a disease.
And just like that, the whole character is transformed. I mean, think about it. He went from being the problem, this lazy stereotype, to being the key to the solution. Jeca Tatu became the face of a huge national public health campaign. He was the guy teaching people to improve hygiene, to wear shoes, to get treatment. He was no longer a symbol of national shame, but an engine for national progress. What a turnaround!
You know, Jeca's story really makes you think about something much, much bigger. What even is a national identity? How can something that feels so solid and permanent just change so radically? Let's dig into that. So at its core, identity is really just a set of characteristics that define something. You've got your personal identity, you know, your name, your age, all the little quirks that make you, you. But then there's collective identity. That's the shared sense of belonging we feel with a group, like being a fan of a certain team, or part of a city, or even an entire nation. The story of Jeca Tatu is a story about Brazil's collective identity. Okay, so if identity is who we are as a group, then where do all these collective ideas even come from? Well, the answer is culture. You can think of culture as the soil where identities grow.
There's this sociologist, Raymond Williams, who gave us a really brilliant way to think about this. He basically said, look, culture isn't just about fancy art museums or the opera. No, it's the study of the relationships between everything in a society's whole way of life. It's the entire interconnected system. So, culture is that shared system of meanings we're all swimming in. It's our language, our laws, our stories, our beliefs, pretty much everything we produce as society. It's actually no surprise that the root of the word comes from the Latin for cultivating the land, because culture is what cultivates a community and its values. It is the very blueprint for our identity.
Okay, so we've got identity, and that's shaped by our culture. But what keeps that connection strong over time? Well, that's where memory comes in. But here's the thing. Memory isn't just some peaceful library of the past. It can actually be a battlefield where different groups are fighting over which version of history gets to be remembered. The historian Jacques Goff put it so well. He saw that collective memory is this incredibly powerful tool. It can either liberate people by connecting them to a proud, shared history, or it can be used to control them by forcing one single official story on everybody. And this idea created a really fascinating debate. You've got thinkers like Maurice Holbwachs who believe that our collective memory is what unites us, right? It creates social cohesion by giving a nation one stable, continuous story. But then you have others like Michel Pollak who argued that this so-called official memory is often just a tool of power. It's a story that silences or buries what he called the subterranean memories of other groups. For them, memory isn't peaceful at all. It's a constant struggle.
And the Jeca Tatu story is a perfect example of this memory battlefield. The official story, the one in power, was that rural Brazilians were lazy. But that subterranean memory, the truth about disease and poor living conditions, it fought its way to the surface.
And when Jeca became a spokesman for medicines like this one, it was so much more than a marketing campaign. It was a victory. It was replacing an old, false memory with a new, healthier one.
So here's the big takeaway. These three things, culture, memory, and identity, they aren't separate ideas floating around. No, they're all part of a living, breathing, totally interconnected system.
It really does work like a living triangle. First, you have culture, which provides all the raw material, all the stories, beliefs, and values a society has to work with. Then, memory acts like a filter, choosing and shaping which of those stories get remembered and passed down. And finally, our identity is the result. It's how we define who we are, and it's built on the foundation of that remembered culture.
The story of Jeca Tatu shows us that an entire nation's identity can be redefined just by changing the story it tells itself. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. What are the cultural stories from your family, from your community, from your nation that have shaped how you remember your own past and ultimately shape the person you are today?